Greetings! Today's a big day, lots of things going on. For starters, my new album, Plays and Sings Bluegrass Volume 2, is out. Released everywhere. Please go check it out. Second, it's the end of the month, which means my Level 2 patrons on Patreon receive their monthly transcription. What's this month's? 3 different versions of Turkey in the Straw, Bill Monroe version, Richard Green on Fiddle version, and Clark Kessinger's version. Interesting investigation into a tune I love and everybody plays. Lastly, we have our weekly musical quick tip. What's our quick tip today? Examine contours and shapes of melodies and solos. Let's take a look at Bill Monroe's Will You Be Loving Another Man? Chubby Wyslouch's intro to his fiddle solo has a very cool shape. Here it is. What I'm interested in, using this shape as a jumping off point and coming up with my own thing. So we might keep the vague shape, but insert different intervals. So it might sound something like this. So now we're taking a classic recording and imprinting part of its essence into a new context. That's something that's very exciting for me. Now let's get practical, because looking at a big shape like this can be a little overwhelming. So I thought we'd move on to the second solo that Chubby Wys takes on Will You Be Loving Another Man. And there's a shape that I like a lot. It's this one. It's a 3-note fragment that repeats. What is it? It's an A to a G sharp to an E. He repeats it. My goal is to set up a systematic approach to messing with shapes. So if we were to define that shape a little more abstractly, we start on note X, in this case A. We're in the key of A too, by the way. We go down a second, an interval of a second, and then we go down an interval of a third. Cool. So we can move that shape around for starters. Start on a B, also in the key of A, move down a second, go down a third. Cool, so you can take that through the scale. Something I'm interested in, and what we showcased earlier in the recorded variation example, is, for example, magnifying the intervals. So we might take that shape, instead of going down a second, we could go down a third, and then after that, instead of going down a third, we go down a fourth. Instead of going like this, now we go down a third and then a fourth. Cool, what if we magnify more? Let's go down a fourth and then a fifth. So all of a sudden, we've taken this shape and made it into this, and then into this. They're all even in proportion. You don't necessarily have to do it in proportion. We could go down a second and then go down a seventh. We could go down a third and then go down a tenth. Okay, cool. So you could take one of those little things. Let's take that shape, magnify it with one set of new intervals, fourth to fifth, for example, and just practice that through the scale. Bring it down. Cool. It's a little abstract, but we've taken something from Chubby Wys from a classic recording, and now we're messing with it in a new context. One of my big hopes and aims in doing this kind of structured practice, where we're examining, analyzing these little chunks of a melody, solo, whatever it is maybe one day when I'm improvising, I can teach myself to react in the moment to melodic shapes that are occurring, not just chord structures, not just predetermined melodies. Right now, maybe I can't do it quite as automatically, but that's okay. Maybe right now I could compose an idealized version of this idea and see what it sounds like in practice, even if I can't necessarily come up with it in the moment improvised. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Another man? Or will you be loving another
I hope this gives you an idea of how you can pursue previously existing materials, in this case a bluegrass fiddle solo, explore them more thoroughly using one of its aspects, in this case shape, and make them your own. This thought process was used extensively in Stash Wyslouch Plays and Sings Bluegrass Volume 2, released today. So maybe when you're listening to it, this will give you a little bit more of an idea of some of the freedoms that we took and some of the tangents that the band went off on. As always, thanks for watching to the end. Thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. Please feel free to share this video. And we'll see you next week for another musical weekly quick tip.